All right, you guys, it's the NFL Week 10 spreads. It's been a crazy week. A lot of crazy games, too. I just wanted to really wrap my mind around all these games, really process everything so I could get you guys the sharpest plays. The lean on Thursday night was Carolina and the under. The under ended up being a sweat fest towards the end, and Carolina did end up winning that game outright. So both plays would have hit if we went official on them. But with these primetime games, Thursday night games, if I'm not super confident in them, I'm not going to put them out for you guys. I'm not going to try to force everything, especially when we've had bad weeks earlier in the season forcing plays. I'm just going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to the fundamentals. And I'm going to give you guys the best plays that check all boxes. And in the NFL, it's very hard to check all boxes. So maybe it leads to us having a few less plays. But we just got to have the ones that are as bulletproof as possible. So, first game up, we got the game in Germany. It's an early start game for us. It's the Seattle Seahawks versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Seahawks are plus 2.5. If you guys look at the odds, you see the Seahawks are plus 100 at the 2.5. You see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 120 at the minus 2.5. And I think it's for good reason. I think this is going to bounce up to minus 3 again. And I'm not mad at it at all. I think Tampa Bay is the side here. Heavy lean towards the Buccaneers. I think that game against the Rams is going to be monumental for the Buccaneers going forward. They were able to close that one out. We're hearing the news about Brady's divorce kind of settling down a little bit. This defense is starting to play better football. It feels like they're getting some momentum on their side. It feels like Tampa Bay is starting to get the ball rolling a little bit. It took them a while this season, but it's starting to come. This is an opportunity to buy Tampa Bay low. It's an opportunity to also sell the Seahawks high. And I'm not saying the Seahawks are frauds. They're a well-coached team. They hit on their draft picks. Geno Smith is playing good football. But let's be honest, like if your team was going to the Super Bowl, playing for the Super Bowl tomorrow, and they had to play against the Seattle Seahawks or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who would you want them to play? Even though the Seahawks record is better, even though the Seahawks right now have been the better team thus far this season, you would want them to play the Seahawks. Like the Seahawks, like people tend to overreact about things, and people also tend to like not pay enough attention to certain things or undersell certain things. We just got to look at it for what it is. The Seahawks are a good team. They're not a great team. They're a solid team, and I think this game being out the country, everything that's going on, this is an opportunity for Brady and the Buccaneers to just showcase who they really are, and it just lines up to be the statement game for them. I'm not going official with this yet, but there is potentiality for me to end up getting on this Buccaneer side at minus 2.5. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Jaguars are plus 9.5. This is a Jaguars or nothing spot for me. Kansas City, they don't normally cover these big lines. The Jaguars, they find ways to lose games. The reason why they won last week is because the Raiders are even better at finding a way to lose games. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, one thing that they're going to do is they're going to be very aggressive on the offensive end, very aggressive offensive coaching. And Trevor Lawrence, he can make plays. They got wide receivers that can make plays, tight ends, running back. And this is a team that can just kind of keep it close. When you see this big total like this sitting at 51.5, I would lean towards the over. And the big total is hinting that both teams are going to put up points. It's not going to be Kansas City just putting up 50-0. It's going to be the Jaguars putting up some touchdowns as well. And I think they put up just enough, especially if they get off to an early start. We know Kansas City sometimes a lackadaisical to start these games. I think that 9.5 is a lot to work with, where the Jaguars could easily lose this game by a touchdown, easily lose this game by 6. 9.5, you're just getting a whole lot of value. I don't think the Jaguars are going to win this game, but you're just getting a lot of value with the 9.5, and I don't see why they don't keep this close. Heavy lean to the Jaguars. Next game, we got the Houston Texans at the New York Giants. The Texans are plus 4.5. I believe it opened up at 6.5. The line's been getting shot down. Probably sharp action. I don't suspect that any casual bettors are just putting a ton of money on the Texans to beat a Giants team that's been hot this season. This game is very tough for me because I do think that Davis Mills does compete. I told you guys, I'm higher on the Texans than most. Obviously, I took the Eagles on Thursday night against the Texans, and I was wrong. But for the most part, I've been higher on the Texans than most. So it's not like an automatic play on the Giants for me. Daniel Jones and the Giants, they haven't fared as well at home as they have on the road in seasons prior. But this year, they've actually been pretty good at home with Daboll. So it's hard for me to really predict this game. I would assume that the Giants win this game, but on the spread, I really got nothing for you guys. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The line right now is Saints minus 1.5. We locked that in last night. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. We locked in the Pittsburgh Steelers +2 as the first official play of this week. Pittsburgh Steelers +2. And there's a lot of reasons to like this game. This is the classic pros Joe's game. This is a game that the average viewer is just going to see and say, hey, I like the Saints because it's the Saints. They've shown some explosiveness. The Steelers, they've just been a laydown team all year. But hey, the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off of a bye week, Kenny Pickett getting a chance to dial some things up on offense that are going to work more towards his favor. And they're getting TJ Watt back. And I think everything starts and stops with TJ Watt. When you look at this team's record when he plays versus when he doesn't play, it's two totally different teams. He makes the schemes that Mike Tomlin draws up, he makes those schemes pop out more. He makes them way more effective. He's just a difference maker. When TJ Watt is on the field, he's a top 5 player in this league. When he's on the field, he just shines through. He's the guy who draws all your attention. He just, he sticks out. He sticks out as the best player on the field at all times. And I just think he's going to wreck shop against a Saints team that the O-line struggled against the Ravens. The O-line has had to struggle this season. They've been getting poor quarterback play, and the offense has just been inconsistent. To take this offense on the road going against the Tomlin defense as a favorite, it's very tough stuff. I don't suspect that the Saints are going to be able to pull this one out. Like I said, Kenny Pickett getting an extra week with this offense and finally being at home. He's been on the road for a lot of these games. He didn't do too bad against the Dolphins on the road in that primetime spot, but he's been on the road a lot. Now he gets to be home with some extra time. TJ Watt, of course. Tomlin in this position as a home dog. This is where we buy him historically, and he always pays out. And it's just tough what's going on with the New Orleans Saints. They just can't seem to catch a break. I thought the Ravens game was going to be a spot where they were going to be able to, but this just isn't the Saints' year. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong, and their defense just isn't getting the stops that they should be getting. We see a low total here. I expect this game to be kind of low scoring, but the Saints defense just isn't getting the stops they're supposed to get. So if the Steelers dial something up coming off the bye and are able to make a couple plays to move upfield, it wouldn't surprise me at all because Pickett and Pickens, George Pickens, the wide receiver, they're developing a good connection, and they still got Deontay Johnson. There's some playmakers on this offense as long as the O-line is giving them a decent push and letting Najee Harris get at least, 3-4 yards on first down. This is gonna be a Steelers spot without a doubt. Steelers is the only way to look here. We locked it in at +2. At +1.5, I still like the Steelers. Steelers are nothing right here. First official play. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Miami Dolphins. The Browns are +3.5. We see the -115 for the Browns at 3.5 is hinting towards getting down to +3. And I agree with the movement. I think that the Browns are the sharp side here. You could just look at the money splits and you could see that everybody's all over the Browns. I don't care too much about that. It's just something to point out that shows you that the sharps are going to be on the Browns and the Joes are going to be on the Dolphins here. For me, it's just tough because the Dolphins are a team that's kind of defied logic this season. They've been winning games that they shouldn't and covering games that they shouldn't, but then they dropped the other ones, and they've just been a weird team. They are at home. With Tua, you don't really know what you're going to get. He does throw a lot of balls that can be intercepted, but they're also making big plays. And I really hate this Browns defense. So I don't know what happens here. I've talked to guys that say, hey, the Dolphins just match up well on the field. It might be a blowout, but for me, this is a Browns spot. It's a Browns line. I liked it a lot more at +4. If it was still +4, I probably would end up on the Browns. But at +3.5, and now it's heading towards +3, I just can't get on board with it. So heavy lean to the Browns. Not mad at you if you take the Browns, but I'm going to pass on that game. Next game, we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Buffalo Bills. The Vikings are +3. It's not going to be Josh Allen out there. It looks like it's going to be Case Keenum. Case Keenum is actually a pretty solid quarterback. Case Keenum actually has a revenge angle against these Minnesota Vikings. He did play for the Vikings and was a pretty good quarterback for them. I got some Vikings friends that are Vikings fans, and they're all pretty big on Case Keenum. They liked him when he was in Minnesota. So this is an interesting spot. At -3, if you got the Vikings when it was like Vikings +9.5 or whatever, I can't talk you off of that. That's a great look. You're getting a lot of value right there. But at -3, Man, I like the Bills a lot. And I suspect that this is just going to keep going down as Case Keenum gets named the official starter and people are making their bets on Saturday and early Sunday. I suspect that this is going to get close to a pick 'em, maybe minus 1.5 Bills or something like that. And I like the Bills a lot. I mean, they still have the better roster. The Bills have a much, much better defense than the Vikings do. The Vikings are on their, what, second straight road game, maybe even third straight road game. I'm trying to think. Um, yeah, they just played against Washington in Washington last week, and now they have to play another road game. Ooh, this is tough. Buffalo with a really good defense. Can Buffalo establish the run game? If they can establish enough of a run game, and they probably have been working on it all week, but if they can establish the run, I think you can run it on the Vikings and give Case Keenum just enough to work with. At -3, if the Vikings keep the game within a field goal, you lose. So at -3, I'm not that crazy about it. But as this line starts to go down, I'm probably going to end up entertaining the Bills. I just have to think about it a little bit more. But this is a sharp play, taking the Bills on such a short line. In Case Keenum with the opportunity to just ruin everybody's tickets. I like it. I like it. I can't lie. Lean to the Bills at -3. I'm going to need it to get down even more before I end up entertaining taking the Bills, though. Next game up, we got the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. The Lions are +3. We see the odds. It's +100 for the Bears at -3. So we may even get it to a -2.5 for the Bears. The lean is the Bears. I think on the field they just match up so well against the Lions. I think this offense is a lot different ever since the bye week when they got Justin Fields rolling out a little bit more, got him moving a little bit more. He's just been way more explosive with this new style of offense that they're running. But the Detroit Lions are a bye team as well. They're coming off the win against the Packers. They got some momentum. This is the division game. Anything can happen. The lean is the Bears in this spot. But Detroit's been playing better defense as of late. So it's hard because we know the Bears don't play defense. So, earlier in the season, you would have said the Bears had the better defense. But now it looks like the Lions have the better defense. Solid lean towards the Bears at the -3. I wanted to get at -2.5. And heavy lean to the over as well. The over's gotten shot up a little bit, and I agree with the movement. That's probably pros and Joes just bumping it up. I agree with the movement in the total. I think these are two teams that can put up points. Moving on, we got the Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans. The Broncos are +3. We see it at a -115. It might go down to +2.5. I love the Broncos in this spot. I'm going to be going official with it shortly. We'll see what I get it at. But Broncos +3, +2.5. I love the spot. The Broncos here, they're a great defensive team. We talk about how poorly they're coached, but on defense, they're actually coached pretty well. And this is a defense that you just can't run the same thing on them. You can't just be a team that, we're just going to run the football, or, we're just going to pass all day long. You can't do that against this Broncos defense. You got to have multiple options in order to have a chance in taking this Broncos defense down. And the Titans, we know that they're just going to run the ball. They got rid of A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill coming off of an injury. Do we trust him without having many playmakers to really light the Broncos defense up in the passing game? He's not going to be able to. The Titans are not going to be able to draw up enough to kill them in the passing game. The Titans on the run game, once they start running the ball to Derrick Henry's unstoppable, but I think the Broncos are going to be able to sit on the run and make it very difficult for him. And on the other side of the ball, with the bye week and coming off the win against the Jaguars, this is the opportunity to buy the Broncos and hope that they get something rolling on the offensive side. The coach is an offensive coach at the end of the day, so they should be able to draw something up during a bye week where they can come at Tennessee with something that Tennessee wouldn't suspect. And it's still Russell Wilson at the end of the day. They still have good wide receivers, a good tight end. I'm not trying to sell you on this Denver Broncos offense because they have been horrible this season. But you're getting +3. This is the spot that the Titans usually drop. The Titans, they compete when you give them a big line like last week. And they compete. They beat the Colts. And they compete when they're playing against these. They beat the Rams on primetime last year. They beat the Niners on primetime last year. Like, they can compete in those spots. But then they're going to blow the home game where they're a big home favorite against the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs, or in their first playoff game after getting a bye week. Like, that's what the Titans do. The Titans drop games like this. This is a game that you suspect the Titans would win. The Titans are going to drop this game. This is a Denver spot. It's an opportunity to buy low on the Broncos, an opportunity to sell high on the Titans. The on-field matchups, everything's clicking right here. I just don't see how the Titans could win this game by more than a field goal. I think Denver wins this outright. We're seeing a low total. It's hinting at a Denver style game. Denver wants to keep it low scoring and beat you with their defense just getting stops. It looks like that's going to be the case here. Man, Denver +3 is really sweet. If you get it at +2.5, we'll see what I get it at. I'll probably go official with it after this video. But Denver +2.5, +3 would definitely be the play. And one more note on this Broncos-Titans game. If you look at the Titans injury report, it's a laundry list. Their injury report is so crazy. And with the Broncos coming off that bye, like I said earlier, they're going to be as fresh and as healthy as possible. So just another reason to take the Broncos in this spot. Next game, we got the Indianapolis Colts at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Colts are +4.5. For me, this is Raiders or nothing. I won't end up on this game, but it's a Raiders or nothing game for me. When the Raiders were in a similar spot as home favorites versus the Texans, they cleaned up. I think that Texans team is better than this Colts team at this point. For me, when you hire Jeff Saturday as a coach, you fire Frank Reich, you bring in a guy who was just on ESPN talking, and on top of that, you got Sam Ehlinger at quarterback instead of Matt Ryan. It just screams tank job to me. And Jim Irsay was in those press conferences acting like they're trying to win games and turn their season around. But to me, this just screams tanking. And if Jeff Saturday comes out and says, yo, we're starting Matt Ryan, or if he brought in Matt Ryan midway through this game and Matt Ryan gives them some type of puncher's chance or something, then I'd say, okay, they're trying to compete still in a division that isn't that competitive. But with Sam Ehlinger and this coaching hire, I just don't see how they do it. The Raiders have been good at home. Like I said, they did beat a team in that division. And they did play the Titans very tough in Tennessee. And we know the Titans own the Colts. And, the Titans are a much better team than this Colts team. So, it's tough. It's tough. We also saw the Raiders have a very big lead against the Jags last week, another team in that division. So, the Raiders have shown signs of being able to compete with this division, and I think the Colts are the worst team in this division. It's a Raiders or nothing spot for me here. Don't really want to back them because they seem like they have so much turmoil going on right now. But you are getting a better line than the 6.5 that it was at earlier this week. So, -4.5, I would go Raiders. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are +4.5 at home. I'm not going to talk about this game. Just a tough game. You don't want to fade Aaron Rodgers getting this many points at home. You feel like at any point this season, maybe they can just turn it around. Even if they don't turn it around with wins, at least turn it around and get covers. But the Dallas Cowboys have been very dominant this season. On the field, you just look at that Cowboys defense, and it feels like they're going to be able to stop the Packers every single time. Just on a surface level, I want to say Cowboys -4.5, but it's just a pretty hefty price going against these Packers. Lean Cowboys here, but wouldn't touch this game. Next game, we got the Arizona Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams. The Cardinals are +2. I'm hearing news that Kyler Murray is going to be like a game-time decision for this game. That changes everything. I don't even know who their backup is. Is it Colt McCoy still? I mean, if Kyler Murray's in, truthfully, I like the Rams either way. Sean McVay kind of owns this team. I like the Rams either way. The Cardinals seem like they just have a lot going on. Even Hopkins, I said in the last video that Hopkins kind of helps bring Kyler Murray and Kingsbury together a little bit. He's kind of the cool head in the locker room. But even Hopkins and Murray are bumping heads a little bit now. With Kyler in, I would lean Rams, but with Kyler out, it's definitely a Rams side. I'm not going to talk about this game much. Moving on, we got the two primetime games. Let's start with the Sunday night one. We got the Los Angeles Chargers at the San Francisco 49ers. The Chargers are +7. Look, everybody wants to take the 49ers in this spot. They're the new it team. They got Christian McCaffrey. They looked great with him against the Rams. They're coming off a bye week. They're at home. It's an opportunity for them to just dominate. But I respect the Chargers more than most. Justin Herbert, arguably my favorite quarterback in this league. Man, getting +7 with a team that just They're a team that uses analytics. They're a team that goes for two. They're a team that goes for it on fourth down. There's just a lot of variance with this Chargers team. There's a lot that could happen. And at +7, I feel like you're just opening yourself up to a back door if you take the 49ers. Like, the back door is so open when you give a Chargers team like this 7 points. Like, they're talented and they play in a style that is very risky. So getting +7 just leaves yourself open. And anytime you talk about the 49ers, I say it all the time. I love the 49ers when they're a dog. If the 49ers are a dog, it's like an automatic play for me. If the 49ers are a short favorite, it's probably a play for me. But when the 49ers are getting this many points, man, it makes it hard for them to overcome a possible Jimmy G mistake. Like, this is a primetime game. The Chargers are still very talented on the defensive side of the ball. What if Jimmy G just has another safety again, like he's been having? What if he just has a fumble? What if he throws a terrible interception in the red zone? Like, all it takes is one of those, and -7 is just cooked. Like, all it takes is one Jimmy G mistake, and your -7 gets backdoored or cooked. It's a very nasty line. For me, I don't like to just bet on just saying, hey, take the value. I try to come with more in-depth angles than that for you guys, but at +7, this is Chargers or nothing for me. Last game up, we got Monday Night Football. The Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Commanders are +11. It feels like these lines for the Eagles are starting to get figured out a little bit. The Eagles were amazing covering the first half and full game. Finally, they didn't cover first half against the Texans. Um, hey, and they didn't cover full game against the Texans either. And it just feels like maybe Vegas is getting a hold of this team, getting a grip of this team. The Washington Commanders are a bye team. They are a team that's trending upwards. They are a team that's a lot better than what they look like early in the season. At +11, you want to buy them in a division game and in a revenge spot because they did just flat out get crushed by the Eagles earlier this season. I got to check if Chase Young is going to be playing in this game, and if he is, how often is he going to play? Is he just going to be getting in every once in a while, or if he's going to play the duration of the game, the full duration of the game? For me, this is a Washington Commanders spot with the +11. But the only thing holding me back is Taylor Heinicke, and he's going to make a couple poor decisions. And this is an Eagles defense that will make you pay for your poor decisions. At +11, the only way I could look is the Commanders. But, maybe I study this game more Sunday night, Monday morning, come up with something for you guys on my social media page. Maybe I put up the Commanders. I really haven't thought about this game much. I don't think too much about the Monday night games until we kind of get there because there's so many games to worry about on Sunday. Washington Commanders with the +11 would be the side. We'll see if we end up getting there. I got to look at this a little more, check out the injury reports and everything. But once again, we do got the Steelers +2 first official play. That's already locked in. Steelers +2 at home. And we are going to be going on the Denver Broncos +3 or +2.5. I like both sides. I think the Broncos win that game outright. Those are the top two plays this week. If we end up getting there on the Commanders or if we end up getting there on the Jags or the Buccaneers, I will keep you guys posted. I will post those on social media. But for now, Steelers +2, Broncos +2.5 or 3. Top two plays, money picks. We are going to win this week. I'm starting to heat up a little bit. It might not always show in the results, but I know I'm heating up when I go through every game on the board, and the board starts to match what I expected the games to turn out. Like, a lot of my leans are starting to hit now. I feel like I'm starting to catch a groove with who these teams are and what's going on in these scenarios. So the top two plays, I love them. And if I do end up falling in love with another play, I will make sure to keep you guys posted. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The link will be down below. Thank you all as always. Make sure to share the videos for me. Until next time, peace.